Most Christians don't really know the truth about Christmas. Christmas, first and foremost, we should understand, was not a celebration taught by Prophet Jesus, nor was it done by his disciples, those who were around him, the 12 and others. They never celebrated it. So in fact, it is not from the teachings of Jesus. In fact, even if you look in the books of the Christians today, in the Gospels, you will not find any mention of Christmas there. It was unknown, not celebrated. Christmas was not celebrated in the Christian world until more than 300 years after the time of Christ. Why didn't they celebrate? Because fundamentally it was known that the celebration of birthdays was a pagan custom. 300 years after the time of Christ, a monk suggested that the date of birth of Jesus was the 25th of December. How did he come to the 25th of December? No evidence. In fact, historians looking at concluded that it couldn't have been in winter. December was winter because of other issues that they talked about in the Gospels concerning the time and what was happening at that time. It wasn't winter time. At any rate, 25th of December was chosen. Chosen when Christianity now became strongest where? In Rome. Why the 25th of December? Well, if one goes back into the history of Christianity, into Christmas, you will find another term associated with Christmas is called the Saturnalia. What is the Saturnalia? Saturnalia was the day of worship dedicated to Saturn. Saturn is not a planet. Yes, it's a planet called Saturn, named after the Roman god of the harvest. When the fields were harvested, then rites of worship were dedicated to Saturn. That series of worship rites were called the Saturnalia. And it involved giving of gifts. It involved carrying wreaths, the holly. And as Christianity spread into Europe, it absorbed other symbols. In Scandinavia, the Scandinavians believed in tree gods, that the gods inhabited the trees. They were inside trees. So, if you wanted to talk to your god, you would go to the tree and knock on it, and then you would talk to God. And this is where the practice we now call knock on wood comes from. This is all pagan. The Scandinavians, when they looked at the various trees, all the trees, when winter came, the fall came, they call it the fall. Why? Because that's when the leaves of the trees would fall. As it started to get cold, the leaves turned in color and then they fell off. Except for one tree. The tree we now call the Christmas tree. So they felt it was the symbol of everlasting life. Because a God has got to be everlasting, he can't be dying. And they brought small versions of it into their homes to worship. And this is where the Christmas tree came from. From a religious perspective, purely Tawheed, Aqidah, monotheism, our fundamental belief concerning God being one and unique. One of his attributes is what? Having no beginning as well as having no end. He is without beginning. Lam yalid, he doesn't give birth. Okay, lam yalid. Walam yulad, nor is he born. Neither does he give birth, nor is he himself born. Because for one to be born, one had to first not exist. So the idea that God was born on the 25th of December, because according to Christian theology, Jesus is God. He is the Son of God, and at the same time, he is God. That is blasphemy, that God bore a son, that God was born. So when we celebrate Christmas, we're celebrating the day on which, according to Christians, God was born. That for a Muslim, celebration of Christmas is absolutely forbidden.